guys ready? Yeah. Going down. Gonna find out what happened.
Chapter 16. What happened about the statues? What an extraordinary place, cried Lucy. All those stone animals, and people too. It's like a museum. Hush, said Susan. Aslan's doing something. He was indeed. He had bounded up to the stone lion and breathed on him. Then, without waiting a moment, he whisked round, almost as if he had been a cat chasing its tail, and breathed also on the stone dwarf, which, as you remember, was standing a few feet from the lion with his back to it. Then he pounced on a tall stone dryad, which stood beyond the dwarf, turned rapidly aside to deal with a stone rabbit on his right, and rushed on to two centaurs. But at that moment, Lucy said, "Oh, Susan, look! Look at the lion!" I expect you've seen someone put a lighted match to a bit of newspaper which is propped up in a grate against an unlit fire. And for a second, nothing seems to have happened. Then you notice a tiny streak of flame creeping along the edge of the newspaper. It was like that now. For a second after Aslan had breathed upon him, the stone lion looked just the same. Then, a tiny streak of gold began to run along his white marble back. Then it spread. Then the color seemed to lick all over him, as the flame licks all over a bit of paper. Then, while his hind quarters were still obviously stone, Lion shook his mane, and all the heavy stone folds rippled into living hair. Then he opened a great red mouth, warm and living, and gave a prodigious yawn. And now his hind legs had come to life. He lifted one of them and scratched himself. Then, having caught sight of Aslan, he went bounding after him and frisking round him, whimpering with delight, and jumping up to lick his face. Of course, the children's eyes turned to follow the lion, but the sight they saw was so wonderful that they soon forgot about him. Everywhere, the statues were coming to life. The courtyard looked no longer like a museum. It looked more like a zoo. Creatures were running after Aslan and dancing round him till he was almost hidden in the crowd. Instead of all that deadly white, the courtyard was now a blaze of colors. Glossy chestnut sides of centaurs, indigo horns of unicorns, dazzling plumage of birds, reddy-brown of foxes, dogs and satyrs, yellow stockings and crimson hoods of dwarfs, and the birch girls in silver, and the beech girls in fresh, transparent green, and the larch girls in green so bright that it was almost yellow. And instead of the deadly silence, the whole place rang with the sound of happy roarings, brayings, yelpings, barkings, squealings, cooings, neighing, stamping, shouts, hurrahs, songs, and laughter. "Oh," said Susan in a different tone. "Look, is it safe?" Lucy looked and saw that Aslan had just breathed on the feet of the stone giant. "It's all right," shouted Aslan joyously. "Once the feet are put right, all the rest of him will follow." "That wasn't exactly what I meant," whispered Susan to Lucy. But it was too late to do anything about it now, even if Aslan would have listened to her. The change was already creeping up the giant's legs. Now he was moving his feet. A moment later, he lifted the club off his shoulder, rubbed his eyes, and said, "That's me. I must have been asleep. Now, where's that dratted little witch that was running about on the ground? Somewhere just by my feet it was." But when everyone had shouted out to him to explain what had really happened, and when the giant had put his hand to his ear and got them to repeat it all again, so that at last he understood, then he bowed down till his head was no further off than the top of a haystack, and touched his cap repeatedly to Aslan, beaming all over his honest, ugly face.
Alright guys, we're gonna do some review. Some really cool stuff is happening right now. I'm really excited to talk about it. What does Tommy, it's like in the first sentence, what does Lucy say about all the stone animals? She says it reminds her of something. Good job,
Then when they come to it, like that reminds me of the zoo.
Yeah, it's kind of like a zoo. Have you ever been to the tar pits? It's kind of like seeing all those, but they're not dinosaurs.
Not yet, but I want to go.
Yeah,
To the La Brea Tar Pit.
that'd be fun. Maybe we'll like do a field trip or something.
I think we should.
I'm not saying we are.
I've been there like twice.
I'm not saying we are or aren't. I'm just saying there's an idea. Maybe there's a way to do it. Okay. What animals did they breathe on, Jen?
A giant.
It says he bounded up the stone and he breathed on them, and he said it listed. You don't have to list all of them, just list a few.
Okay. They brought back unicorn, centaur,
Yeah, good job. Yes, Brian.
A giant.
Nice. A giant. Love it. Well, what else did you see? You see this one?
Stone dwarf.
Stone dwarf. Love it. Awesome. Mia, what is happening to the statues?
They're all dancing around because they came back to life.
Love it. I'm gonna give you 2 nickels for that. Oh, sorry. I give you 2 nickels because that was a very thorough answer. Yes, Tommy.
Bird girls and Brian.
That was actually my other question. What are they wearing? It says birch girls are in silver, and then what else? What else are they wearing?
The beach gold and the beach girls are in green.
Love it. What else? The large girls are what?
Yellow green.
Yeah, it's yellow green and it's so bright. Good job. Jake, what do you think? This is kind of a tricky question, but I want to see if you're next. What do you think Lucy means by "is it safe"? Where are they at right now?
At the witch's house?
Yeah. So, do you think it's safe?
No.
Do you think Lucy's suspicions are correct?
Maybe.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you. All right, we're gonna continue reading. Earn our nickels. Yes, we're gonna be turning the page fairly soon.
These giants of any sort are now so rare and infinite, and so few giants are good-tempered.
Next
But
page.
10 to 1, you have never seen a
It's
giant
it's
with
on
his
his
face as
ugly
beams.
face.
It's a sight well worth looking at. Now for the inside of this house, said Aslan. Look alive, everyone. Upstairs and downstairs and in my lady's chamber. Leave no corner unsearched. You never know where some poor prisoner may be concealed. And into the interior they all rushed, and for several minutes the whole of that dark, horrible, fusty old castle echoed with the opening of windows, and with everyone's voices crying out at once, "Don't forget the dungeons! Give us a hand with this door! Here's another little winding stair! Oh, I say! Here's a poor kangaroo! Call Aslan! Phew! How it smells in here! Look out for trapdoors! Up here! There are a whole lot more on the landing!" But the best of all was when Lucy came rushing upstairs shouting out, "Aslan! Aslan! I found Mr. Tumnus! Oh, do come quick!" A moment later, Lucy and the little fawn were holding each other by both hands and dancing round and round for joy. The little chap was none the worse for having been a statue, and was of course very interested in all she had to tell him. But at last, the ransacking of the witch's fortress was ended. The whole castle stood empty, with every door and window open, and and the light and the sweet spring air flooding into all the dark and evil places which needed them so badly. The whole crowd of liberated statues surged back into the courtyard, and it was then that someone, Thomas I think, first said, "But how are we going to get out?" For Aslan had got in by a jump, and the gates were still locked. "That'll be all right," said Aslan, and then, rising on his hind legs, he bawled up at the giant. "Hi, you up there!" he roared. "What's your name?" "Giant Rumblebuffin, if it please your honor," said the giant, once more touching his cap. "Well then, Giant Rumblebuffin," said Aslan, "just let us out of this, will you?" "Certainly, your honor. It will be a pleasure," said the giant Rumblebuffin. "Stand well away from the gates, all you little uns." And he strode to the gate himself, and bang, bang, bang went his huge club. The gates creaked at the first blow, cracked at the second, and shivered at the third. Then he tackled the towers on each side of them, and after a few minutes of crashing and thudding, both the towers and a good bit of the wall on each side went thundering down in a mass of hopeless rubble. And when the dust cleared, it was odd, standing in that dry, grim, stony yard, to see through the gap all the grass and waving trees and sparkling streams of the forest, and the blue hills beyond that, and beyond them, the sky. "Blowed if I ain't on in a muck sweat," said the giant, puffing like the largest railway engine. "Comes of being out of condition. I suppose neither of you young ladies has such a thing as a pocket handkerchief about you?" "Yes, I have," said Lucy, standing on tiptoes and holding her handkerchief up as far as she could reach. "Thank you, Missy," said Giant Rumblebuffin, stooping down. Next moment, Lucy got rather a fright, for she found herself caught up in midair between the giant's finger and thumb. But just as she was getting near his face, he suddenly started, and then put her gently back on the ground, muttering, "Bless me, I've picked up the little girl instead. I beg your pardon, Missy. I thought you was the handkerchief." "No, no," said Lucy, laughing. "Here it is." This time he managed to get it. But it was only about the same size to him that a saccharin tablet would be to you.
A what?
So that when she saw him solemnly rubbing it to and fro across his great red face, she said, "I'm afraid it's not much use to you, Mr. Rumblebuffin."
I'm gonna look up saccharin tablet for you guys.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
Rumblebuffin.
It's kind of an interesting word.
That was funny. The giants was pretty silly.
We just died laughing.
Well, Miss Potter is looking up that word because I'm very curious.
It is a type of sugar.
Oh, it's a type of sugar? Can we see it?
A 0-calorie artificial sweetener.
Wait, it's frozen.
I know.
Oh, do you want me to unfreeze it?
Yep.
Oh.
What's that?
So, it's got a brand name, but on top you can see saccharin.
What does it have?
It's a different kind of sugar.
It's the
So,
sugar?
It's 0-calorie sugar. So instead of regular sugar, there's saccharin. We also have stevia.
Oh, you
and
have one?
We don't have any of these. This would be like something you would put in coffee, or maybe you would bake with it.
Wait, bake it? You need sugar to bake it?
Yep. When we bake, you use sugar. Yep. So different kind of sugar.
Yeah, unfreeze it now. Yeah, so that's what that is, 0 sugar.
Please.
So let's do a review. Why do you think they're looking in all the places, Jake?
To find any
what?
statues. To find any statues.
To find any other statues that have maybe come alive or any prisoners. Yeah, love it. Give your bits and nickels. she happy or sad to find Mr. Thomas? Well, think about it. She's been looking for him for a while now.
She's pretty happy.
Yeah, she's pretty happy about it. It says, yeah, a moment later, juicy little fun. We're holding each other by the hands and dancing around. So I think they're very happy.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're
Tommy.
in the yellow zone.
I'm in the yellow zone.
No, they're in the yellow zone.
Oh, yeah, the yellow zone of
Why are we talking about
frustrated. Are you talking?
Overjoyed.
That's supposed to be for
So that would be green zone. So
No,
the green zone is happy, calm, feeling joy, and focus.
but yellow zone is silly, overjoyed and stuff.
Not quite. Look, it
Yes,
says,
yes, it is.
oh,
It might not be up there, but yes, Tommy, you have a really good memory.
Oh,
Go what
good
Mr.
job,
Oscar
Tommy.
has taught
I
you.
did
Yes.
it. I had no idea about that. Yeah, 2 nickels. Yeah, all I see is like the words that are underneath it. I don't know much about the zone, so thank you for educating me on
I
that.
know a lot about the zones.
Love it, love it. That's good because that helps us regulate our emotions, right? To know that helps us identify what zone we're in. Okay. Yeah, what is happening in the castle when it comes to the light? So the whole castle stood empty.
With every door and window open and light, with and the sweet spring air flooding into all the dark, evil places, which needed them so badly.
Good job, yeah. Thank you. It shows me up when there's 2 in there. So bear with, yes, please remind me if I'm putting it in the wrong place. Let's see. How do they get out, Jen? Who do they use? Yeah, Tommy said it very kind of low. Jen said it, yeah. Rumble, Buffin,
the giant.
the giant.
I will.
He says, stand well away from the gates, all the little uns, and then he rode strode to the gate himself and bang, 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 went with a huge club. So he's like, don't worry, I got you, I'm a giant, I'm gonna go through that door.
Because I'm rumble buffing.
Fine, I suppose, Brian. No, you're good, stay on here. Oh wait, no, just turn the page. Oh, you went ahead. You're reading ahead, silly. I suppose. You see where it says I suppose? Yeah. What did the giant ask from the ladies? He says, I suppose.
A joy on the leaves has associated as a focus
Handkerchief.
handkerchief.
Good job. Good job, Brian. Yes. He's asking for the handkerchief. It's kind of silly. Mia, what did the giant think he got as a handkerchief? Yeah, it was Lucy. He was trying to wipe himself with Lucy. Was that funny or
You
what?
did it again.
Did I
Very
do
funny.
Oh, did I do it again? I'm so sorry. Alright, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
To go to
The next page.
the next page.
Rumble buffing.
Hold on, Mrs. Tommy.
Don't unfreeze it?
No, sorry. Everybody ready?
Awesome.
Not at all, not at all, said the giant politely.
Rumble
Never
buffing.
met a nicer handkerchief. So fine, so handy, so, I don't know how to describe it. What a nice giant he is, said Lucy to Mr. Tumnus. Oh, yes, replied the fawn. All the Buffins always were one of the most respected of all the giant families in Narnia. Not very clever, perhaps. I never knew a giant that was, but an old family. With traditions, you know. If he'd been the other sort, she'd never have turned him into stone. At this point, Aslan clapped his paws together and called for silence. Our day's work is not yet over, witch is to be finally defeated before bedtime, we must find the battle at once. And join in, I hope, sir, added the largest of the centaurs. Of course, said Aslan. And now, those who can't keep up, that is, children, dwarfs, and small animals, must ride on the backs of those who can. That is, lions, centaurs, unicorns, horses, giants, and eagles. Those who are good with their noses must come in the front with us lions to smell out where the battle is. Look lively and sort yourselves. And with a great deal of bustle and cheering, they did. The most pleased of the lot was the other lion, who kept running about everywhere, pretending to be very busy, but really in order to say to everyone he met, "Did you hear what he said? Us lions. That means him and me. Us lions." That's what I like about Aslan. No side, no standoffishness. Us lions. That meant him and me. At least he went on saying this till Aslan had loaded him up with 3 dwarfs, 1 dryad, 2 rabbits, and a hedgehog. That steadied him a bit. When all were ready, there was a big sheepdog who actually helped Aslan most in getting them sorted in their proper order. They set out through the gap in the castle wall. At first the lions and dogs went nosing about in all directions, but then suddenly one great hound picked up the scent and gave a bay. There was no time lost after that. Soon all the dogs and lions and wolves and other hunting animals were going at full speed with their noses to the ground, and all the others, streaked out for about half a mile behind them, were following as fast as they could. The noise was like an English fox hunt, only better, because every now and then, with the music of the hounds, was mixed the roar of the other lion, and sometimes the far deeper and more awful roar of Aslan himself. Faster and faster they went as the scent became easier and easier to follow. And then, just as they came to the last curve in a narrow, winding valley, Lucy heard above all these noises another noise, a different one, which gave her a queer feeling inside. It was a noise of shouts and shrieks, and of the clashing of metal against metal. Then they came out of the narrow valley, and at once she saw the reason. There stood Peter and Edmund and all the rest of Aslan's army, fighting desperately against the crowd of horrible creatures whom she had seen last night. Only now, in the daylight, they looked even stranger and more evil and more deformed. There also seemed to be far more of them. Peter's army, which had their backs to her, looked terribly few. And there were statues dotted all over the battlefield, so apparently the witch had been using her wand. But she did not seem to be using it now. She was fighting with her stone knife. It was Peter she was fighting, both of them going at it so hard that Lucy could hardly make out what was happening. She only saw the stone knife and Peter's sword flashing so quickly that they looked like 3 knives and 3 swords. That pair were in the center. On each side, the lines stretched out. Horrible things were happening wherever she looked. "Off my back, children!" shouted Aslan, and they both tumbled off. Then, with a roar that shook all Narnia from the western lamppost to the shores of the eastern sea, the great beast flung himself upon the White Witch. Lucy saw her face lifted toward him for 1 second with an expression of terror and amazement. Then lion and witch had rolled over together, but with the witch underneath. And at the same moment, all warlike creatures whom Aslan had led from the witch's house rushed madly on the enemy.
Let's go back to the previous page and then we'll.
Sorry, I spaced out, my bad.
It's okay.
What happened to the, oh,
The next page is very, very, very
Chapter
short.
6.
So let's do some review. You guys ready?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff again is happening. What did Lucy say about the giant's hand? she also said something else. She said she felt a certain way about the giant. What did she say? The giants were. There we go. Good. Yeah. I like, and I'm gonna give you an answer for the other one. Yes, because you were a respected giant family in Narnia. Just tripped.
Almost tripped.
Almost tripped. Got it and died. No, I'm just kidding. What animals are supposed to be on backs? Yes, Jen. They would be on a horse. Those. You're close.
Oh boy.
Those who can't keep up.
Those who can't keep up, that's children's dwarfs and small animals.
Good job, yeah. And then they're gonna ride on the backs of who? Lions.
Lions, centaurs, unicorns.
God. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna go into battle. So, with those who have noses, where should they be? Oh, I apologize, Tommy. Are you okay? I'm sorry. Your previous page.
Yes.
Those who have noses. Where should they be? Nice. Just sniff out where the battle is, right?
It's time
Good
he
job.
managed to get it. But it was only about the
Oh,
same
excuse
size
me, it's still
as the
waiting.
sacred tablet.
Because I that's not
What is the noise? Can you help me out by I have naples in my hands.
It's not much use to you.
Can you get to this page? Not at all.
Falling as fast as they could.
The noise of metal crashing against each other.
Yeah, there we go. There, that's the noise. That's the noise from like the
The diagram of the sword.
yeah. But what also noise do they hear? That's like on the battling side.
The noise was like an
The noise is like a what?
The ears. Like oxen.
Yeah. You know spot hunt? You know spot hunt?
Oh, it also is. That's like previous until the next class.
Okay. Tommy, please sit down. I'm gonna give you one last question.
And then
Who is he fighting with?
All the other animals.
Who is the witch fighting with?
Oh, Peter.
Good job.
I didn't know
Yeah.
who you were
All the other
talking
animals
about.
too, you're not wrong. It was all the animals. I should have been more specific.
Did you
Yeah,
just
the
say
witch is
sheep?
fighting.
Did you just say sheep?
And then let's continue to the next.
I turned it up to the bottom of the last page.
I can just read it.
Off my back.
I'll just read it. It's just like one last page.
I would just choose play.
Oh, I got it?
I backed it up a little bit, guys. So we're at the last paragraph on the previous page where it says "off my back, children," just to kind of start and in a better place. Here we go.
Never seen them. Off my back, children, shouted Aslan, and they both tumbled off. Then, with a roar that shook all Narnia from the western lamppost to the shores of the eastern sea, the great beast flung himself upon the white witch. Lucy saw her face lifted toward him for 1 second with an expression of terror and amazement. Then lion and witch had rolled over together, but with the witch underneath. And at the same moment, all warlike creatures whom Aslan had led from the witch's house rushed madly on the enemy lines. Dwarfs with their battle axes, dogs with teeth, the giant with his club. And his feet also crushed dozens of the foe. Unicorns with their horns, centaurs with swords and hooves.
Are we on
And
the
Peter's
page?
tired army cheered. And the newcomers roared, and the enemy squealed and gibbered, till the wood re-echoed with the din of that onset.
really quick. So we know Peter and the witch are fighting. But when Lucy's looking at them fighting, what is she seeing, Mia?
Amazement.
Yeah, I'm sure she's amazed, but it says something about the knives. It's on the bottom of the page. It says, so what would they look like? What?
3 swords and 3 knives.
Good job. 3 swords and 3 knives. Alright, you guys ready to have some Turkish delight?
Yeah.
Yeah, but without any nuts. I'm gonna pick the nuts out.
Are you allergic to nuts, Tommy?
I just don't like eating them.
Okay.
Snacks.
It's
Let
just,
me, I'm gonna get some,
it's just something that
Miss
happened a
Odalise,
long
can I have
time
some
ago.
tissues?
Yeah.
Or,
It's just something
I
that
put it away.
happened a long time ago.
actually, here guys. Let's just make it quick, I'll give you the nut.
Excuse me, wipe it away.
Oh, I don't want any.
You don't want any?
No.
Wipe it away.
It is a little smushy in texture. Oh no. And it's a little powdery. You don't want it? Brian? I like how you guys are vocal about if you want to do it or not. Yeah, you can have it.
Oh my god.
So good. You like it?
I think you get the light.
Yeah, this is Turkish delight.
Did you make it?
I'm getting
I know I did not make it. Apparently Sydney, the class next door,
Oh.
I like it.
she gave it. She gave it to Miss Potterton.
Wow.
Excuse me, I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you like about it, Ryan?
It's chewy.
Just chewy? Well, can you taste
sorry,
it?
was
Can you taste?
yellow.
You saw it was yellow. Do you taste the nuts a little bit? No? Okay. Anyone else want any more?
Yes, please.
Alright, Brian, only one
I
more
can't get
because.
it.
Yes, you can go, Jake.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
That's it, yeah. You had like 2, Brian. Just 1, just 2.
We're going to visit again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Miss O'Hagan's class. Thank you guys so much for coming to read with me. Answer your questions.
We were forced to.
I was forced. You were forced to. You didn't enjoy it.